I came to Champaign-Urbana in the 70s to be a student at the university to study music composition, and during that time of being an almost perpetual student, started working with other artists in this town to connect the arts with community activism and social change.
I think that my hard work has showed that, the youth, that there are people that are invested in them, that are willing to volunteer their time, to support, to, give them sort of somebody that they can come to if they need any help as far as the program or, otherwise. So I feel like that's really the biggest thing for me, what I wanted to achieve with the program.
We have some great things that are happening in this community art-wise, and I think it's really important that art is accessible to everybody and that everybody has an opportunity to do those. So I'd really like to see both the youth getting involved in things that are involved in the community already, but also people recognizing these youth who are pretty extraordinary and the work that they're doing and what they're putting into the community.
Open Scene is a National Endowment of the Arts grant project with a collaboration between the Independent Media Center and the City of Urbana.
It is a program that's really working to bring youth voices more into the downtown. So we know that the downtown is a great place to be. We are really excited. There's some great things that are happening, but we still know that there's some spaces we've heard that youth really would want more to do. So this program is really bringing them in, and how can we make the downtown work for those youth as well.
In relation to Open Scene, I was really glad for the grant proposal, the way it was written, and the goals of it, because it touched on a lot of things that I'm really interested in, connecting the arts with community activism, social change, and particularly there was this aspect of Open Scene that was addressed to youth who usually would not get such resources. And that, however we want to describe that, it could be to the basis of various oppressions or finances. We live in an unequal society, so that's among the things we want to change. And inequality is expressed in terms of age. Young people are not given much respect, or not listened to enough, don't have a place to be, and get all sorts of messages. You don't belong here, you don't belong here, you've got to find a place for yourself somehow. And so this grant was trying to make the Independent Media Center and downtown Urbana become more of a welcoming space for creative, problem-solving energy.
Open Scene is quite an ambitious project. Well, we got a big grant, which was great, but it also involves many days of events and months of planning. I think we were planning for maybe a year before the project finally took off. And I guess from my personal point of view as a city staff, it was kind of a challenge to get off my usual box of comfort, because I had these programs that I always worked on, but this is a whole new thing, a thing that starting from nothing, and it also had a different audience, I guess. It's specifically young people, so I guess we all had to learn about how to reach out to them most effectively and how to listen, I guess, because when you deal with young people, I think a lot of us are guilty of just assuming, oh, you're young, you have a lot to learn. But I think honestly, looking at this event, we learn a lot from the participants, and just because they're young and still in school doesn't mean that they have nothing to contribute.
With Open Scene, we've coordinated 4 different artist workshops. Each workshop around a different artist skill. We did music production. We had a hip hop workshop. We also had a storytelling workshop and a theater workshop. I don't know. I feel like the workshops, each workshop, just, I don't know, it allowed us as a group who already are doing so many amazing things in the community to sort of come together and think about these ideas. I felt like it was really organic. I mean, and sometimes awkward because of that. But I also think that's a part of building community. That's a part of making space and place, is figuring each other out. And I feel like the workshops, working with the artists, having those directed conversations, so, when Mother Nature was here, one of the first questions they asked was like, what was our first encounter with hip hop here? And that brought out a lot of different answers from people, even people who weren't a part of our open scene. And, we were able to learn just about things we'd never heard about,
I think just learning like the different types of art, like on the surface, it was, a hip hop workshop, and it was a theater workshop, and it was a storytelling workshop, and it was a music making workshop. But deeper than that, it was also just different aspects of those art forms. So it wasn't like theater as I approach it usually, with it like being some big production. It was more like devising a piece and what goes into creating a piece that is still considered theater. And with the music making, working with Derek, who just has so much like real life experience with these really established artists and different things like that. I think that was the biggest thing.
I think it's really important that we had a city member there. I think it's really easy for people to sort of separate from the city, You see us pushing paperwork sometimes. You don't really see that, we like the arts and we're creative. And I think that work has opened up a conversation as well that, I think having people understand what the Public Arts Commission does.
Or because of this opportunity, I got to learn a lot more about just arts events in general, going in arts communities, things that people are already doing to foster community and work across difference, especially the young people. Some of the youth leaders in Open Scene, already have studios going or collectives going, working with friends to do different events around town. And so, I don't know, for me, it was just really helpful to have those connections and learn about what's already going on here and how people already use the space. That was helpful for me.
I think a lot of people I know who just came to these meetings were just saying like, wow, that was a great experience, because I think what I took away from it most was seeing that there were like-minded people in the area that believed in the arts as I believed in the arts, and wanted to make a change as I wanted to make a change. So I think that's kind of the everlasting step kind of moving forward.
I got to participate in a lot of the different programs, and I think there was different things that were unique and great about all of them. I got to participate in the youth weekends, and I think what was so great about that was just watching the youth have the time to themselves. I think often they're not given that, and having time to explore and do things and make connections, and I think that was pretty wonderful, and I got to just be sort of witness to that. I didn't always fully have to put in or anything, and I just think those connections that I've seen across different groups of people is really important. I also think that some of those community conversations were just awesome. We had people who were coming from the city, we had people who were coming from the community, we had these youth, and it was just a very equal playing field, and everybody was allowed to bring in their voice and their opinion, and I think that's great. And I also really enjoyed learning about different things from these artists. I don't have a lot of background in hip-hop culture. I don't have a lot of background in Native American storytelling or beat making. I don't think I'd ever heard that phrase before this project. And the theater as well was very different. So I think getting these experience and these four very different types and just being able to experience that and being open, and I think it was great for both seeing the youth and the adults just sort of take that on and freely take that on and not feel too inhibited with it, and seeing how that came out.
The connection between the Independent Media Center and the city, it's good to be able to think of your city as something that wants to, an entity that wants to help the people thrive. And among the people that live in the city or are represented by the city are the young people. And so I hope that beginning of the connection between the city of Urbana and its resources and the Independent Media Center, which was started by groups and individuals, that could continue in some way.
I've talked to different, both youth and as well as some of the adult stakeholders. There were some adult stakeholders involved in this project. And a lot of these youth, they are youth who are already doing things in the community. They were chosen for a reason. They're doing art shows, they're putting on productions, they're doing sports. You'll see them in the newspaper a lot as people who are very active. They're in local plays. So you see this work, and I think it's really brought out a lot of that and brought some of these different things. And I saw some of those go into other art things, such as the Boneyard Arts Festival. Some of those organizations were then able to participate a little bit more in that. And I've also just seen some more connections and free flowing of information about what's available. I was having conversations with one of the adult stakeholders about what's available for the community for youth. And the arts program does a lot of grants. There's these really great things that are happening in the community, but sometimes the community doesn't really know about all those grants. So we were just talking and making those connections and saying, oh, you're interested in African dance. There's a program and a workshop that does that already. So we were making some of those connections as well as far as information sharing.
I really hope from Open Scene, people who participate and people who just stop by to meet the participants, I hope they understand that we could be better if we include young people in our conversations. This is so cliche, but they are the future. So we need to give them a chance to speak their mind and give them the space and give them the feeling of comfort that's going to help them open up more. I don't know if this is possible, but I think it would be great if we could see more youth and local boards and commissions, for example, have their voice on the table so we know, so we can look at things from their perspective.
I've actually been able to connect with some of the youth, and Maddie has reached out to me about doing a poetry event, which is really fun. Being able to just network, I think, between the youth and the adults has really been one of the biggest things that I've seen come from it. People using their resources and being able to kind of push it in helping those kids be able to do some of the things that they want to.
I'd like to see it connecting more to youth and helping maybe the less fortunate youth of Champaign-Urbana have outlets to come create anything they want and learn new things and meet new people and make connections for future things they want to do.
I think building relationships and continuing to keep those connections going are going to be important. So with the people, I feel what's important too with the people who are able to show up is continuing to build those relationships, continuing if there's an event or a cool idea that someone wants to do, seeing if we can make that happen with what we have.